time has not been kind to Sony. While the Japanese electronics company enjoys great success with its PlayStation business, the number of people who would wait in line to get its new Xperia smartphones has all but evaporated. At IFA 2017 in Berlin, the company announced a new pair of Android smartphones, the Xperia XZ1 and XZ1 Compact, that show it hasn't really learned anything in the last few years. As competitors switch to bezel-less and edge-to-edge displays, even though brands like Doogee are doing it with and without notches, and include wireless charging, Sony continues to fail to launch new phones even with fingerprint sensors or other forms of biometric security such as iris scanning or face recognition in the US in 2017. That's just unacceptable. Still no fingerprint sensors in Sony's new Xperia XZ1 phones, but for the US models. Image Lily Sam Smashable Sony's Xperia phones used to be pretty damn cutting-edge and competitive tech-wise, with iPhones and whatever Galaxy phone Samsung was touting. And while the internal specs on the new XZ1 and XZ1 Compact there, it has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 chip, a 4GB of RAM, 64GB of storage, 32GB on the Compact, and a microSD card slot. The rest of the hardware is underwhelming. All of the colors the XZ1 will be available in Image Lily Sam Smashable. Let's talk design, because, frankly, I think they look dated. Sony's stuck with its loop surface and seamless metal industrial design. Don't get me wrong, the phones look very Sony, but the huge forehead and chin bezels above the and below the screens aren't going to age well, especially with the iPhone 8 around the corner. And speaking of the screens, they are on the small side and just average looking. Sony used to go overkill with 4K displays in its phones, but the XZ1 only has a 5.2-inch 1080p Full HD display and the XZ1 Compact has a smaller 4.6-inch 720p screen. The 5.2-inch Xperia XZ1 left and 4.6-inch XZ1 Compact right. Image Lily Sam Smashable XZ1's screen is HDR ready, and whenever you watch HDR content from places like Amazon, Netflix, and YouTube, it'll automatically display more dynamic range, so you'll get a better, more accurate picture. But when most everybody has will move to a longer 189 or 18.59 displays and embrace OLED for the deepest blacks and most poppin' colors. Sony is still pushing sub-quad HD resolution screens with a 169 aspect ratio. I'm sure there are tons of people out there that'll appreciate the compact smaller size, but 720p in 2017 for a premium phone, no thanks. Battery life is also peculiar. Both phones have the same 2700 mAh battery. That's a smaller capacity than just about every flagship phone, most of which have 3000 mAh or greater. Granted, the smaller screens and lower resolutions don't require as much power, but still. I'm concerned at how long these phones will last. Sony's compact phones are known for the stamina. The Z3 Compact had a battery that could last up to 3 days, so I'm hopeful. These shortcomings may be frustrating for people who want the best there is, but the new camera features really shows how out of touch Sony is with mobile trends. No dual cameras on Sony's XZ1 Image Lily Sam Smashable. Rather than dual cameras, a feature every flagship phone is embracing in some way, the XZ1 comes with a single 19-megapixel camera. The Motion Eye camera, as Sony calls it, has all of the jargon-named shooting features like pre-focusing and ridiculous 960 FPS frames per second slow-motion recording introduced in previous Xperia phones. New on the XZ1, however, is a 3D scanning feature. Sony says users can scan 4 types of objects in under 60 seconds. Instead of spending thousands on a 3D scanner, you could use a special preloaded app to scan 3D objects and then send them to a 3D printer, a third-party service to print out. This would have been nice in 2013. Image Lily Sam Smashable. This would have been a genius idea, a one-stop shop for 3D scanning and printing, if it was 2013 and 3D printing was still hailed as the next big thing. But it's 2017 and consumer interest in 3D printers has long evaporated. Even well-known consumer 3D printing brands like MakerBot had to sell themselves in order to survive. 3D scanning a face ahead requires steady hands and a lot of patience. Or Image Lily Sam Smashable. Now, to be fair, the 3D scanning is pretty decent. There are 4 scanning modes, one for faces, entire heads, food, and freeform objects. The 3D scanning process is a bit tricky. It requires a lot of patience from the scanner and another person if you're doing heads and faces, and the right background situations, translation spaces without lots of crap in it. During my brief time with the XZ1, I was able to get a couple of 3D scans, but not without some hiccups. Mashable photo editor Lily Sams grew impatient and annoyed as I followed the on-screen arrow markers indicating which direction to move the phone around her head for a proper scan. Confusing directions mid-scan also made me want to quit a few times, too. After a few scan fails, we managed to get a few decent 3D scans of our faces and a bowl of fruit on a table, but the results were far from perfect. If you want the best 3D scan, you'll definitely be investing more than 60 seconds per scan. I know, I'm pooping all over Sony's new phones even though I haven't thoroughly tested them, but that's only because it's so painful to see Sony stumble year after year. Sony used to be the world's largest and most revered electronics company, but it keeps missing the mark in mobile. It's unfortunate the new Xperia XZ1 and XZ1 Compact continues that tradition.